Good morning. On today's show, we get caught up with the drama and news of the NBA. We talk about Texas football and their future draft picks in the NFL. And Ferrari just got a big name to join them in 2025 for Formula One. All this and more on the F1 Sport Press Bot 1-0 Sports Show.
We're going to have an exciting show. We're going to talk about the NFL divisional round and what we expect from it. We talk about Texas's inconsistent start in Big 12 play for men's basketball. We'll finish with some talk about our women's basketball team. Okay. So we got a packed show today.
I got to go the other way. You know, Texas A&M, they got a lot of identity issues. Are they an agricultural school? Are they military? Are they blue collar? Are they academics? They're all over the place. So
now, I'm always a sucker for a one-handed catch. I have tiny hands. I need 3 of them just to catch a football. So this one-handed grab in the end zone, that's just super impressive in my eyes. That's going to be my play of the week.
Mayo pour on college game day. Look at this. Just the guy and the North Carolina, South Carolina game. He's just straight eating it, shirt off, rubbing it on his body.
Hey, listen, the Cinderella story ends here, Texans. I'm sorry, man. The chariots turns back into the pumpkin. It struck midnight. Whatever you want to say, I think it ends here.
Good morning, I'm Ikey Kohler. I'm here with my host, Henry Hipschman. Thank you all for joining us. It's a great day to talk sports. Before we get started, today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to school, work, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. Henry, how are we doing today?
Doing good, doing good. It's a nice, calm Friday morning, ready to talk a little 1-0 sports.
Yep. All right, well, let's get going. We're going to get straight into the who's hot and who's not. Henry, I'm going to ask you who's hot for the week and who's not.
I'll start with the who's hot. I chose Travis Kelce, and he's coming off his best game of the year, probably. This is the first year in, I don't know, the past 8 years, I think, that he has not had a 1,000-yard season. It's been a down year for him all year, but he's been picking it up. I think we know why, because he's got a little fan up in the booth. But 10-plus yards per catch in every game of the playoffs this year, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He just seems to be making those clutch plays. He made that really impressive catch where he had to, dive for it at midfield against the Ravens. So I think he's looking really good lately, and he's looking like that tight end we're used to seeing. And my who's not is Dan Campbell, because as much as I love Dan Campbell, he's probably my favorite coach in the NFL right now, who's known for his aggressive play calling and a little unorthodox style. I really like what he's done this year. I think he's done a great job with the Lions, and I think he's done a good job trying to catch teams off guard. But not going for it, not going for the field goal, and going for it on 4th down really hurt them in that game a couple times, and I just think that was a big mistake, and that's what cost them the game. So he's my who's not right now.
Yeah, no, I like both your picks. I'm pretty sure Travis Kelce is ranked one of the top tight ends as far as receptions in the playoffs of all time. He's a guaranteed Hall of Famer.
Definitely.
Yeah, him and Mahomes are a great duo. And then Dan Campbell, yeah, it's just a tough loss. Yeah, so for my who's hot, I'm going to go with the Texas women's basketball team. They're coming off a double-digit victory over number 13 Baylor on the road last night. Yeah, so they're 19-3. They're 6-3 in conference. They're 12th in the nation right now, and that's without their guard, Roy Harmon, and I'm not sure if Madison Booker ended up playing last night, but she was day-to-day. They're really clicking on all cylinders. And, yeah, they have Kansas State coming into town on Saturday, who's ranked number 2 in the nation. They got really big opportunity to win in front of hopefully a big crowd with the number 2 ranked team in the nation coming in town. Who's not, I'm going to flip it over to the men's side, the men's basketball team. They're my who's not. And, yes, they play in the Big 12. They play a very tough conference, and they're coming off a tough loss to a Houston team where they played pretty well, and they had a chance to win. But here's the deal. They're ranked 8th or 9th in conference. They're 3-5 now, and they've lost to UCF at home. They've lost to BYU. They've lost to Tech. And these were all very winnable games. They were winnable games for the Longhorns, and something just isn't right. At the beginning of the season, we thought, okay, the Texas Longhorns are loaded in talent. like surely they're going to be one of the top teams in the Big 12, and everyone's just been kind of sitting on the edge of their seat just waiting for it to happen, and it just hasn't happened yet. And yeah, unfortunately, the men's basketball team, they could still turn their season around with RT and, you know, great leadership, but no one's really stepped up and taken control of this team so far, kind of like how like Sir Jabari Rice did last year. So yeah, they're my who's not.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The women's basketball team is playing really good right now. I haven't been watching a ton of their games, but I've heard a lot. I've heard that with injured players, younger guys or younger girls are stepping up. Some freshmen are taking on bigger roles. And the basketball team, that's a great point as well. I mean, we're in the hardest conference in college basketball, obviously. And I know we just lost to Houston, who's number 4, but that was a winnable game. We struggle with rebounds. We've struggled with rebounds in a lot of games. I know we don't have size like other teams do, but we definitely could be playing better. We've seen what we can do when we beat Baylor and when we beat Oklahoma. So who knows if the season's still salvageable? I think it is a little bit, but we're getting close here. And March Madness is looking a little out of reach for the Texas team right now. So should we move on to what's trending?
Yeah, move on. So the NBA season's ramping up. The All-Star teams just got released, and we're going to talk about the snubs, the All-Star snubs. So who's your All-Star snub?
Even though he's on the team, I think he still got snubbed because I think he should have been a starter. I chose Donovan Mitchell. I think he should have gotten in over Lillard. Right now, Lillard is playing well. He's always played well, but as far as his career stats go, this is not his best year. It's not really up there in his best years. It's kind of an average year for him, while Donovan Mitchell is playing extremely well. Mitchell is averaging 28.2 points per game, while Dame is averaging 25.2. Mitchell only has 3 games this year under 20 points, and I know Lillard is sharing the court with Giannis. I know that's going to take away from his production, but I do think that Donovan Mitchell deserves a starting spot this season. This season.
Yeah, no, it's good points. I'm going to go with De'Aaron Fox, and he wasn't listed as an All-Star this year, but he was averaging 27 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal per game, and he's shooting 38% from 3. And he's one of 2 top 15 scorers in the league who are not All-Stars, and the other being Trae Young, but the Hawks aren't really in playoff contention, but the Kings are 5th in the West. So, you know, it's kind of mind-boggling that De'Aaron Fox really isn't an All-Star. Yeah, that's my snub. Yeah, moving on, we're going to pivot to the Lakers here. Their coach, Darvin Ham. What do you think? Do you think they fire him during the season, after the season, or keep him on? They're sitting at 25 and 25. I think that's 9th in the West right now. Hot topic of debate. What do you think?
I think they're gonna have to get rid of him because they're just having trouble finding consistency. They're in the lower half of the Western Conference again. They've been in that half kind of a couple times the last couple of years. And LeBron's old, you know. Anthony Davis is getting older, and these guys are running out of time, and they want someone who's going to help them win games now. I think we've seen videos where the players have voiced frustrations directly to this coach. I think they need to get something together. They need to start really producing something that shows that this is a team that can go into the playoffs and even win a championship against all these other powerhouse teams right now. And I don't think they're doing that, and I think that's going to lead to the firing of Ham. So,
yeah. See, here's what I think about that. I mean, they're sitting at 9th in the West, which isn't, I mean, obviously not where the LA Lakers should be. Kind of like how when Texas was struggling in football, you know, big time name down in the dirt. You know, the game is better when Texas is better in football. It's better when the Lakers are better in the NBA. Now, they still have a chance to sneak into the playoffs, and I think if they can get to the playoffs and win a series or win the play-in tournament, I think they should keep him. I think they should keep him for another year as long as they have LeBron on the team. Anything can happen. If LeBron enjoys playing for him and, you know, and they turn out being successful, then keep him. But, yeah, he's on thin ice, but they did win the in-season tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
They did win the in-season tournament.
Yeah, there you go.
And that could make LeBron the GOAT. We don't know. Pretty debatable.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now, that's it with our first segment of the One and Know Sports Show on this lovely Friday morning. Stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned. We're going to move on to our versus round, show some highlights of the week.
Welcome back to the One and O Sports Show as we go on to our Versus segment of our show, and we're going to be joined by our guest, Grabiel Silva. How you doing, Grabiel?
Doing good, up bright and early, ready to, judge some highlights.
Some would say it's a little too early for a Friday, but we're here and we're getting started. First, we're going to start off with Best Conference Round Play of the Week. Ikey, what do you got?
So, it's from the 49ers and Lions conference championship game. It's a Brock Purdy pass to Brandon Ayuk, where Ayuk torches the defense, and then Purdy just unloads, and then it hits the helmet, and then Ayuk just dives and catches it. And he said in a post-game interview there was a ladybug on his shoe. I mean, it just kind of like plops right into his hands, and at that time in the game, it was just a massive play that really turned the tide, and seeing it live was unreal. It was amazing. Not in person, but, from my couch. But, yeah, that's my play of the week. Yeah.
I think Ayuk complained because it wasn't the #1 play of the week, but and he thought so. So my pick's going to be the Lamar Jackson touchdown pass to Zay Flowers against the Chiefs. I think Lamar Jackson did a great job remaining calm in this pocket. He's going to avoid a sack right here, faces very little pressure, drops way, way back, launches it, finds Zay Flowers, touchdown, ties the game, and it felt important at the time before the Chiefs really ran away with the game. I just thought it was impressive to see that from Lamar Jackson. We've seen that his whole career, obviously, and to see Zay Flowers really continue to develop to be this really reliable wide receiver for Jackson.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Ikey's Brandon Ayuk pick because, watching that game, I was on the road while I was watching that game, and, seeing that ball bounce off his helmet, you could just tell that that's where the tide started to turn. That's where the momentum shifted from the Detroit sideline to the San Francisco 49ers sideline. And, that was the turning point. That was a major play of the game. So I have to go with Brandon Ayuk's catch.
I might have to ask you to leave, Grabiel, if you keep picking Ikes, bro.
I don't know.
Best NBA play of the week. Ike, you want to start us off again?
Yeah, I'll go first. So Anthony Edwards, this crazy dunk versus the Spurs. It was a three that was kind of hanging up on the rim, and then Anthony Edwards just jumps all the way up to the ceiling. I mean, just the explosiveness from there, follows the shot, gets the rebounds, and boom. It's really poster stuff, but yeah, it's my NBA highlight of the week.
Anthony Edwards proven himself to be one of the great young guys in the league right now. Yeah. My pick's going to be Lakers. Big assist from the whole team. Actually got the whole team involved with this passing play. Starts off with Davis, goes to LeBron. LeBron gets it through that needle, and D'Angelo Russell finishes it off with a nice layup. And I just like this play. I think it's a great show of teamwork, a great show of team communication, and it's also showing what LeBron's been doing his whole career, making hard assists, making these crazy passes, his inner Magic Johnson really coming to light. It's only right that he's in that Lakers jersey while he's doing that, and I just thought that was an impressive play.
I'm going to have to go with Henry's pick here. That's a great sequence. That's, true basketball. LeBron threaded a needle yet again.
A layup?
Year 20. I mean, yeah, I'm going to have to go with Henry's pick here.
I think we're tied at 1-1 now, and now we're going to go to our best college hoop highlight of the week, men or women. And I'll start off with this one. Mine's going to be Ikey dropping 30 and 15 in an OT win against Northwestern. I think we've seen Ikey's dominance through his whole career, and there's just no stopping this guy in the paint. I know there's not a lot of skill involved. I used to be a big Big Ten fan, and this guy really annoyed me a lot. But when he gets in that paint, that 2 points is kind of guaranteed, and he's just showing his power in the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the big man from Houston, number 25, Joseph Tugler, when he was playing against the Longhorns. This highlight stuck out to me in general. It misses a shot, but then swoops in for the dunk there. It was just like a ferocious moment in the game of complete dominance over Dylan Mitchell, and he stomped down on the Moody Center. So that's my highlight of the week.
I think I'm going to go with Ikey's pick. If anybody knows me, I don't like Zach Edey, so I'm not going to let Zach Edey highlights win on this show. So I have to go with Ikey's highlight. I was there in attendance for that game, and you could just hear like a pin drop after like such a ferocious dunk. That kind of kills momentum that Texas was trying to gain throughout the whole game.
Ikey's now winning 2-1, and we're going to go to our worst ref mistake, our biggest blooper, and trust me, there were plenty of them. I'll start off once more. Mine is going to be the no call on Isaiah Likely for Ravens versus Chiefs. I think it's obvious what happened here. Lamar Jackson tries to find a pass. Isaiah Likely's tackled at midfield before. He's in the field to play to. He's tackled midfield. No call. It's kind of ridiculous. We've been seeing calls like this from the refs in the NFL kind of all year. They've just been missing stuff. I think there kind of needs to be a reevaluation of all this, but I think it's just obvious that the refs really messed up here.
Yeah, no, and I'm also going to go with a call that went against the Ravens. There were a few of them that kind of seemed to go against the Ravens in that game, but this time it was a Lamar Jackson pass to the end zone, and I think it should have been pass interference. The receiver was clearly contacted before the ball was caught, so therefore the flag should have been thrown, and the Ravens, since it was in the end zone, they would have had the ball at the 2-yard line, and it really could have impacted that game. So, yeah, we have 2 pass interference calls, but I just went with the one in the end zone. Grabiel, what do you think?
I'll have to go with Henry's no call because, that one felt a little bit more egregious compared to the one in the end zone. The one in the end zone felt more like a toss-up. He underthrew the ball by like 5 yards and into triple coverage. But the other one, you could clearly tell that he grabbed him around the waist, hit the tango, and threw him straight to the ground. So I'm going to go with that one as a little bit of a worse ref mistake.
Looks like we're all tied up here, and it's going to come down to our very last highlight. It's going to be Best NHL/Other Sport Play of the Week. Ikey, you want to do this one first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So it's the Ducks were playing the Sharks. It was tied 2-2 going into OT, and Frank Venturo got the turnover. Pass to Venturo, and then he scores with 52 seconds left. Look at him just like toss a stick up in there, and the game's over. I feel like buzzer beaters in hockey are kind of hard to come by, and when they do happen in such a physical sport, it's just absurd. I'm sure that arena was, either the team was rocking or the arena was rocking, whether it was home or away. But yeah, the game-winning goal for the Ducks, comeback goal, Frank Venturo, kind of an Italian-sounding name, but yeah, I'm going with him for the NHL Player of the Week. Game-winning goal. Has a ring to it. Game-winning goal.
I think he's trying to sway you already. My pick is going to be the Michael McCarron goal against the Senators. This isn't a game-winning goal, but it's the opening goal of the game. It really sets the tone, kind of bounces off the goalie here, gets slap shot in the back. I just think it's really great to see this opening sequence. It really gets the team's momentum going. It really helps them try and go on and win this game. And it's no game-winning goal, but it matters just as much in the end. So, Grabiel, what are you thinking?
I'm going to have to go with Ikey's highlight. It's unfortunate that this competition came down to choosing between hockey highlights. But I'm going to have to choose Ikey's. That was a clutch game-winning shot, under a minute left. It's hard to score in hockey, and, winning like that, that's a really big play. So I'm going to choose that.
That's going to do it for our Versus segment, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the One of Those Sports Show. I'm Ikey Kohler with Henry Hipschman, and we are joined by a special guest, Samantha Perl.
Thanks for having me on. I have some breaking news to share. This just happened yesterday, so I'm happy to talk about F1. F1's in the off season right now, but I have some important news to share. So I will get right into it. On Thursday, yesterday, there was some news announced that surprised, overjoyed, or even made F1 fans upset. There has been speculation over the past few years that Sir Lewis Hamilton would retire or receive an extension from Mercedes. So here's a graphic with some reactions from some prominent F1 reporters, but the 7-time world champion has signed a multi-year contract with Scuderia Ferrari starting in 2025. Carlos Sainz, who has been with Ferrari since the end of the 2020 season, will no longer remain with Ferrari due to the blockbuster move. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will both be wearing the iconic red uniform as Leclerc received a contract extension on January 25th that will be at least until 2026.
It's ground-shaking news.
Yeah,
clearly.
big news. Yeah.
But since Leclerc's extension was only announced a few days ago, according to Sky Sports F1, Leclerc knew about Hamilton joining the team several weeks before signing the extension. So, do you think Sainz pre-planned with his pre-planned departure? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So, Charles Leclerc, when he was a kid, he's always dreamed of being a Formula One driver for Ferrari. But he's been a driver since 2019. In his first ever Grand Prix, he started and finished in 5th for the Australian Grand Prix. But although there has been some issues with Ferrari since he's been a driver for the team, such as there was a new hiring of a new team principal, I believe it was last year, and then there's been issues with the car and just not getting in first place, not competing up to Ferrari standards like they typically do in years past. But he's stuck with the team from the beginning and hopes to one day hopes to win a driver's championship, as all F1 drivers do. But with this announcement of his contract extension, he's one step closer to potentially being in the run for the championship. He and the team always tends to do well. As I mentioned, they always strive to win. But regarding Sainz, I'm sure this is disappointing for him and his fans, but I guess they just had to let him go because he wasn't competing enough to Ferrari standards for them to keep him. So.
I'm going to be honest, Sam. I don't watch too much Formula One, so can you explain why this is such a big deal to those who might not know a ton about the sport?
Yeah. So this is huge because Hamilton has been with Mercedes since 2013. But before I continue, I would like to read a quote from Hamilton that was shared on social media. This was from yesterday. So it says, quote, "Mercedes has been a part of my life since I was 13. Leaving was the hardest decisions I've ever made. I'll be forever grateful for the incredible support of my Mercedes family, especially Toto. He's the team principal. I want to finish on a high together," he says. So continuing on, before 2013, he was with McLaren from 2007-2012, winning one of his 7 World Championship titles with McLaren. But he has won the 6 World Championships nearly back-to-back with Mercedes, with the exception of not winning 2016. Mercedes has also won the Constructors' Championship 8 times in a row from 2014 and 2021. Hamilton has been keen on winning another championship, but he hasn't been able to get those results. But the last time he won a World Championship was for the 2020 season, so it's been a little while. But since then, Red Bull has been dominating the grid because with Max Verstappen, he's won the World Championships since then. But because of those reasons and having a car that's been underperformed, I'm sure that's why he signed with Ferrari. But Leclerc and Hamilton, this could arguably be one of the most talented driver lineups on the grid. Ferrari, I bet, could be a contender for World Championship. So we'll see.
So with Carlos Sainz leaving Ferrari, who do you think he'll go after in 2024?
It's unknown right now because it's so early and there's another year. But I bet in the upcoming weeks, he could announce once preseason testing starts. But Sainz, he will be a free agent. So he has a few options. Audi, Mercedes, Alpine, Aston Martin, and Williams all have empty seats at the moment. But Audi will join the grid starting in 2026. They're a new team. they will also be another option for other teams' engine suppliers, so that's pretty neat. But Audi has purchased a minor stake in the Sauber F1 team, and that will replace Alfa Romeo, which has been a team for several years. They departed from the grid at the end of this past season in 2023. So it'll be interesting to see what the team has to show, but also who joins their driver lineup. I can't necessarily say where he'll be going, but I bet the most likely options will be Mercedes or Audi. Red Bull, probably not going to happen because of Max Verstappen. He's locked in, and then Sergio Perez, who's his teammate, he could retire. We'll see. And then Daniel Ricciardo, if Sergio Perez does retire, then Daniel Ricciardo will most likely take his seat since he's a reserve driver. But Aston Martin will most likely keep Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll.
So for fans like yourself, what does this mean to the F1 community?
Yeah, so I'm sure Mercedes fans are probably very disappointed because Hamilton has been there for nearly 11 years. That's a long time, especially in racing career. But he's led so much change within the sport, and he's one of the most talented and highly regarded drivers ever. But on the winning aspect, I'm sure Hamilton fans are excited to see if he can make more of a difference at Ferrari. We'll see if he can turn around. But this will be an elite lineup, so it'll be very exciting to see, in my opinion. But Ferrari, it's known that they're the most successful F1 team ever with 16 constructors titles and 15 driver titles. So Ferrari has always been the team that strives to win more and more each year. So with the addition of Hamilton, this should be pretty exciting. But my own personal opinion, I'm excited to see what happens. We'll have to see how it goes. But personally, I like a little competition, and I know Red Bull tends to win every year, so I like to see the change up of people winning and stuff. So I'm very excited to see that, and I'm sure other Ferrari fans are excited to see that too. But for now, we'll have to see what happens in the 2024 season. Science is still there, so we'll see if they can win a few races. But I'm pumped to see how it goes. But the first race of this season, it will be on March 2nd, one month from now. It'll be at 9 a.m. if you want to wake up early and watch it. So it'll be on ESPN. So that should be pretty exciting as well. And we'll see what the cars. They're gonna release the new cars for this season soon. So it'll be exciting to see what they have.
Wow. Well, Samantha, thank you for the F1 analysis.
You're welcome.
That was amazing.
I'm happy to talk about it. Hopefully I can come back on, sometime before when the season starts in March. So that'd be pretty cool.
Well, all right. Stay tuned for our next block of the One and Out Sports Show for Texas football draft analysis.
Welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show, where we're going to start talking about a little Texas football. With the draft happening later this year and footage from the Senior Bowl starting to float around, who do you think has a chance to be a first-round pick?
So I'm going to go with the Texas interior defensive lineman Byron Murphy. Him and Tavonde Sweat, I really think both could be first-rounders, but Byron Murphy's more of a sure pick to be a first-round pick just because he's a little bit faster than Sweat. I think as far as NFL scouts see him, and he's kind of a more like not more of a guarantee to wreak havoc on the inside, but he's a safer pick as far as the interior defensive lineman than Tavonde Sweat. But I'm gonna go Byron Murphy for this one as a lock first rounder.
Byron Murphy is definitely a powerhouse on the line. I went with Tavonde Sweat for this one, mainly because of his size and speed at the same time, because even though his stats weren't as good as Byron Murphy's this year, just his size and speed will always will always draw another O-lineman, I think, to help handle him, and I just think that's really useful for NFL defenses nowadays. So I like Tavonde Sweat for the first round. Who do you think is who do you think is an underrated prospect coming out of Texas?
Yeah, I think one underrated prospect is he played left tackle this year, I think, Christian Jones for the Texas offensive line. But he started 13 games, but he started like over 40 games in his career as a Longhorn. He was a pretty solid blocker for Texas. Yeah, I think Christian Jones, right now he's projected around a 5th-round pick, but I think he's a little underrated. And then next year, I know it's not part of a question, but underrated prospect will be Gunnar Helm, as I think he'll continue to develop into a full, complete, tight end that can make big plays that could change the aspect of the game. But yeah, what about you?
My underrated prospect is Keelan Robinson, and he really stepped up when Jonathan Brooks had his ACL injury. And though his stats aren't great and he hasn't had the most playing time in his college career, I just think his surefire speed will be really useful to a team's special teams. I don't know if he could be an RB1 or RB2. I don't really think so, but on special teams, I think he could be a great returner and really helpful. And a powerful returner is a really good way to get a drive kick-started, so I think Keelan Robinson could be really good. Now we'll go to who do you think make an immediate impact on their team no matter where they are drafted?
I'm going to go with the fastest receiver in the Longhorn wide receiver room. I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy. As long as he stays healthy, there's not a question in my mind that he's going to be an impactful player his rookie year. And when I look at players that to kind of compare him to, I compare him to Zay Flowers and how he kind of played for the Ravens this year, making an impact, how Jordan Addison made pretty much an immediate impact for the Vikings, even though they didn't make the playoffs, and then sort of how Garrett Wilson made an impact for the Jets his rookie year. With particularly Zay Flowers and Addison, Worthy will be able to get behind the defense and use his speed to just get open. So I'm going Xavier Worthy for that. What about you, Hunter?
I just want to say I really like your pick, Xavier Worthy, one of the best special teams players in the college football this year. Definitely a good wide receiver. My pick's going to be Byron Murphy, as you were saying before. A big man coming off his best season in college football, 5 sacks this year. Is a really good way of just disrupting offenses. Even if he doesn't make the play, he helps with the play. And I just think no matter where he goes, his size and his power will really make an impact. That's going to do it for us for talking about Texas football and the upcoming draft. And we'll be back real quick with our pick'ems.
back to the One and All Sports Show. We are joined once again by our guest, Grabiel. Grabiel, how you doing?
Ready to make some picks. That's what I'm
Ready to make some picks. Well, we're going to be doing mostly NBA picks with a couple college games thrown in there. With that being said, we're going to start off with the NBA. Phoenix Suns are playing at the Hawks Friday at 6:30. I guess I'll start off with my pick. I'm going to go the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, I'm just getting a vibe on this one. I think Trae Young's going to get hot, and Hawks by a blowout. Who do y'all have?
I'm also going to go with the Hawks. I think, today feels like one of those days where a rogue team would win against, a team that you'd consider near the top of the league. So, I think that'll be the Hawks. I think the Hawks will beat the Suns today.
I'm not going to go with the upset. I'm going to go with the Suns. I just think they're the better overall team, and I just don't think the Hawks are going to stand much of a chance, especially in that fourth quarter. So I'm going with the Suns.
Fair enough. Well, moving on, the Golden State Warriors are playing tonight at 7 at the Memphis Grizzlies, led by Karl Anthony Towns, right? Yeah. Well, wait. No. Anyway, I'm going with the Warriors. Okay, I'm going with Curry and the Warriors. That's my pick. Who do you have?
I'm gonna go with the Warriors as well. I think John Morant is currently injured for the Grizzlies.
That's
I believe. I don't know. I haven't checked yet. But I'm gonna go with the Warriors. I think Steph will be able to get it done on prime time tonight. So I'm gonna go with Golden State.
As much as I love Steph and love the kind of player he is, I'm going to go with the Grizzlies. I think the Warriors have been not an elite status team this year. I know they've had some problems in a couple parts of the court. I know there's talks about Klay Thompson and all that, and so I'm just going to go with the Grizzlies.
Well, moving on. The Lakers sitting at 25-25. They're playing at the Knicks Saturday at 7:30. Who do y'all have?
I'm going to go with the Knicks. Not just because I'm from New Jersey and there's a bias, but I really like how they're playing. I think Jalen Brunson's doing a great job. He just dropped 40 points the other night. The Lakers don't have LeBron or Davis, and I know they just beat the Celtics. I think that was a fluke, and I think the Knicks are going to get it done.
I'm gonna also go with the Knicks. Last night the Lakers somehow beat the Celtics last night without LeBron or Anthony Davis, and like Henry said, it really felt like a fluke. I don't think it's going to carry over into Saturday, even if LeBron and AD are back. The Knicks, I feel like, have been secretly on a hot stretch. They made a good trade earlier in the season, and I think that they're starting to pick up some momentum. So I'm going to go with the Knicks.
I think this is going to be a legacy game for Darvin Ham, which turns around the season and saves his job ultimately. So I'm going to go for the Lakers on this one. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing the San Antonio Spurs Saturday at 7:30 prime time. I'm going to go with the Spurs just because I got a gut feeling that Victor Wembanyama is going to have a great game. He's having a great rookie season so far, making an impact already. So I'm going to go with the Spurs.
I also think that Wembanyama is going to have a great game. He's had great games, even on limited minutes. But I think that the Cavs are going to pull out with a win come Saturday. I think Donovan Mitchell, he's been playing really well. He's been helping my fantasy team out. And I think he's going to continue on Saturday and help the Cavs for another win.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to go with the Cavs as well. Wembanyama is a great player, but the Spurs are just such a young team, and they haven't been performing the greatest this year. We've seen Wembanyama have some great games, and they still fall short. And like Grabiel said, Donovan Mitchell's looking really good, so I'm going to go with the Cavs.
All right, well, moving on to the Milwaukee Bucks are playing at the Mavericks Saturday at 7:30. And, yes, the Mavericks are playing they do play later in the week on Monday, but first we're going to tackle this game, Bucks at the Mavericks. I'm going to go to the Bucks here. I think the Mavericks just aren't going to be able to put it together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Giannis and Dame are going to, kind of have their way with the Mavs. The Mavs, Luka's been doing really good. He dropped 73 a couple of days ago. And then he had another 40 or 50 point game, just a couple of days ago again. But he probably needs a little bit more help. They won those games that he scored a lot, but it's probably not going to be enough when he's going to have to go against two all NBA players and Dame and Giannis basically almost by himself. So I'm going to have to go with the Bucks on Saturday.
I'm going to go with the Bucks as well. Like everyone else was saying, I just think they're too good of a team. We've seen how they played with a kind of dysfunctional team or dysfunctional coaching situation, and they still played really well. I think they're going to do. I think Dame and Giannis are just going to kind of stomp on Dallas, and it's not just because I don't like Dallas. But moving on.
Well, now we have the top dog NBA game of the week, Orlando Magic at the Detroit Pistons Sunday at 2. Mid-afternoon Sunday game. During the Pro Bowl festivities, if you tune into the Pro Bowl. But I'm going to go with the Detroit Pistons here. I know they're not having as good of a season, but I'm going with the Pistons. Who do I have?
I'm going to go with the Magic just because the Pistons are kind of a mess. I know they have talent on that team. It's kind of surprising they've lost so many games. But I just think the Magic, these are two kind of mediocre teams, but I'm just going to think the Magic are going to pull this one out.
I'm also going to go with the Magic. No free wings for the city of Detroit yet again. They have not been performing. Detroit has not been performing well with Cade. But, I think that the Magic are just a little bit of a better team than the Pistons, which isn't really saying much, but I'm going to go with the Magic.
Yeah, so I was looking at the records. The Magic are 25-3 on the season, could still make the playoffs. The Pistons are a whopping 6-41. That's a .128.
24-game lose streak. We'll usually do that. So 24.
Yeah, 24. That's it. Yeah, so that is the day the Pistons.
The Magic are a sneaky good team, though. I didn't know they were that high in the standings. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the Pistons pull that out for my Pick'ems rankings. They need to improve. Now the Mavericks play again Monday at 6. They're playing at the 76ers. And, they're going on the road. And I picked the Mavericks to lose on Saturday, and I'm picking them again to lose Monday at 6 against the 76ers. The Mavericks are about to implode. Let's just call it what it is. At least how I see it. I'm calling it like I see it here on this Friday morning. And I think the Sixers are going to get the job done Monday at 6. You won't want to miss it. What do y'all think?
I'm going to go with the Mavs for this one, as much as it breaks my heart to support the Dallas team. But Sixers without Embiid, I just don't think are going to beat a Mavs team with Doncic. So I think the Mavs are going to pull this one out.
I also think the Mavs are going to win this game. The Joel Embiid injury is going to deal a huge blow to the 76ers. He's a VP level player, even if he doesn't play the amount of games. But he's still that type of player. They're going to have to rely on, I think his name, Tyrese Maxey a lot more. And I don't know if you could trust, Tyrese Maxey versus Luka Doncic to pull through in such a, huge game. Both teams have playoff hopes. So I'm going to have to go with the Mavs, strictly because Joel Embiid is more than likely going to be out for that game. So.
Moving on to college hoops, we got men's basketball. Saturday at 3 p.m., number 4 Houston goes on the road to take on number 8 Kansas. It's two of the top teams in the Big 12, the nation's best conference. Arguably the game of the year, at least the regular season as far as college basketball goes. What do y'all think will happen? Who do you think is going to win?
I think Houston's going to win. I was in attendance this last week when Houston came in to the Moody Center, and, I was taken away by how, they were really physical, grabbing the boards. They made their shots when they needed to kill the momentum that was starting to rise there in the Moody. So, I think that, they already faced a great environment. It was jam-packed inside the Moody Center this past Monday, and going into Fog Island Fieldhouse is probably going to be, the same thing for those Houston Cougs. And I think they're going to pull out a win coming in on Saturday.
I got to agree with Grabiel. I also have Houston. It's a hard thing to come into Moody Center and face that environment, especially in a momentum-building game like that went into OT and still pull out the win. I think they're really physical. They're the best team and the best conference in the nation for college basketball. And as good as Kansas may be, I think Houston pulled this one out.
I'm going to switch my pick from Houston to Kansas, and it hit me that Houston came into the ferocious Moody Center and played well, sure, but they're going into the historic Allen Fogg Fieldhouse. Crazy things happen there, and Kansas is going to have the home court advantage. And Houston's two conference losses have came on the road to Iowa State and TCU, who were both unranked at the time, and they're just shockers of games. But they handled the Moody Center better than they handled Iowa State. The atmosphere there, TCU. Coach Simpson for Houston actually said that Iowa State was the most impressive road crowd he had been in front of. With it being so cold there, like the fact that they're so energetic is what he said, which is actually kind of interesting to me. But yeah, anyway, I think Kansas is just a whole different beast, and I'm gonna rock with the Jayhawks, Rock Chalk Jayhawks. They're my pick, number 8. Kansas is gonna win this ball game. Moving on to number 9, the Texas Longhorns going on the road to take on TCU. Texas badly needs a win Saturday at 1. What are y'all guys thinking?
I think they're gonna somehow, some way, pull out this win Saturday at 1 o'clock in Fort Worth. TCU is gonna hand out horns down shirts for the whole student section, and it just something about it. It feels like this is the type of game that Texas is gonna go on the road and make a statement in front of a rowdy environment like the TCU is gonna have on Saturday. I think they're gonna somehow pull it out. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, but I'm hoping that they do.
It's more of a prayer than a pick at this point, but I also have Texas. They've had some good road wins this year. In Oklahoma, probably the best one. TCU will be a tough environment, but we usually beat TCU at a lot of stuff. So I really think we can pull this one out. I just think we just got to be a little more physical and finally get those rebounds, and Texas will get this win.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say the Texas Longhorns because, this team generally responds well to tough losses. Coming off the Tech and the West Virginia loss, they and I think UCF too. They go on the road and beat Oklahoma, and then they beat Baylor too. This team generally responds pretty well to adversity, and Texas needs this one badly. They did move up in the NCAA double tournament, Joe Lunardi's projections, after the close loss to Houston. So the tournament committee does value essentially the crowd you run with when playing, the fact that Texas moved up after a loss. But regardless, Texas still needs this one badly to improve seeding for the Big 12 tournament and to stay in that NCAA tournament range. Right now they're sitting at the first 4 byes, but before the Baylor game they were sitting at the next 4 teams out. So that just kind of shows how quickly the pendulum of the NCAA tournament bubble can swing, and if this Texas team isn't careful, their bubble can bust real quickly. So, but yeah, I'm going to go with RT. I'm going with Texas. I think they get the job done here. Now moving on to the women's basketball. Number 2 Kansas State comes into Austin on Sunday at 1 to take on number 12 Texas. They're likely to move up in the rankings I think they come out on Tuesday or Monday. But regardless, who do y'all have?
I'm going to take Kansas State in this one. As much as I love Texas and want them to win a game, Kansas State is number 2 in the nation. Texas has had some pretty significant injuries this year for the team. I know they're playing well. I know people are stepping up. And though I think it's going to be a close game, I just think Kansas State's going to pull this one out. I don't think Texas should be deterred, though. They're having a great season. They could really make a good run this year in the tournament. But, K-State.
I'm going to have to go with Texas. I think, considering that it's going to be a women's basketball game, I think there is going to be a decent showing from the crowd. Sunday afternoon, maybe some people might show up, maybe some people will be at church. But I think it'll be a good show out. I think Texas is going to pull out with the win. I was in attendance for their last home game against Oklahoma, and Coach Vic Schaefer, he really tore into them in the post game for their lack of effort. And they came back and they responded with a couple of big wins, including last night against Baylor. So I think they're going to keep the momentum, especially back on their home court against the number 2 ranked team in the nation against Kansas State. So I think they're going to pull out a win this Sunday. Yeah,
I'm going to go with Texas as well. And, when I was when I was at their Cincinnati game, the game before they played Baylor, and one thing that Coach Schaefer said in the press conference was that, I mean, he was very proud of his team, but the way Shea Hawley and Shaylee Gonzalez really stepped up and took control of the offense, because Madison Booker, it was a surprise that she tweaked her hamstring the practice before the game, so she was out, and she's been day-to-day since. But yeah, this Texas women's basketball team is firing on all cylinders, and it's funny that you brought up that people are going to be at church, because Coach Schaefer he has a metaphor for the crowd he uses. He says the people in attendance are the church, and the people they bring are the congregation, and he's going to need the congregation to come out to the Moody Center to support the Longhorns. And I think that's going to happen, but I'm going to go Texas over Kansas State by 5 points. But, yeah, so that was a great show, y'all. That's it for this morning. Thank you all for tuning in, and thanks for joining us. Shout out to TJ, our executive producer, our fearless leader. And make sure you tune in next week at 10 a.m. and be sure to check out our other shows on TSTV, College Press Box on Monday nights at 9:30. The College Crossfire Tournament of Champions is this Wednesday night at 9. Don't miss it. And y'all have a great day.